Do you think the classic musical film about the 7 Von Trapp children and the majestic Alps was nothing but dreamlike scenes? The truth behind The Sound of Music actually hides chilling and dramatic secrets that few people know. Behind the sweet melodies and picturesque scenery lies a series of terrifying events that the public was never aware of. After decades of silence, Julie Andrews herself has broken her vow of secrecy, revealing untold stories about one of the most beloved films of all time. Let's uncover the shocking and unexpected truths behind the glamour of The Sound of Music. From concept to Broadway stage. The story begins with a 1956 German film based on Maria von Trapp's memoirs, which, despite its success in Europe, was overlooked by Hollywood. Tony Award-winning director Vincent J. Dunhue recognized its dramatic potential. Instead of a film, Dunhue conceived the bold idea of adapting it into a Broadway musical for actress Mary Martin. This faced initial hurdles because Maria von Trapp had sold the film rights to Germany for $9,000, approximately $104,000 today, and wanted her story told in its entirety. Mary Martin and her husband persistently sought out Maria while she was on a mission in Papua New Guinea. Initially, Maria was not enthusiastic about Broadway, but after seeing Mary Martin perform and realizing the film rights had already been sold to the German side, she was finally convinced. Regarding the music, the initial intention was to use Austrian folk songs. However, the legendary duo Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein Roman II insisted on composing an entirely new score. Their patience was richly rewarded when the musical premiered in November 1959 and achieved resounding success, becoming one of Broadway's enduring classics. Film adaptation and its challenges. When The Sound of Music became a massive hit on stage, a fierce battle for the film adaptation rights ensued. Ultimately, 20th Century Fox won, paying a colossal $1.25 million, equivalent to over $13 million today, a huge gamble for the studio after the heavy failure of Cleopatra. The casting process for the film was equally dramatic. The role of Maria was given to Julie Andrews. Despite being overlooked for the film adaptation of My Fair Lady, Andrews' potential was recognized by director Robert Wise. She signed a contract for a fixed salary of $225,000 with no royalties or percentage of the box office. This is now considered Hollywood's biggest miscalculation given the film's subsequent colossal success. Conversely, Christopher Plummer initially rejected the role of Captain Von Trapp multiple times, deeming the character bland and humorless. He only agreed on the condition that he be allowed to modify and add depth to the character. Plummer was even famously known for despising the film, calling it The Sound of Mucus, and admitted to being drunk during many scenes. As for the child actors, Mia Farrow was rejected for the role of Liesl due to a lack of energy and dancing ability. Nicholas Hammond, who played Friedrich, later became the first live-action Spider-Man. What's particularly special is that the bond between the child actors in the film was very real and lasted for decades afterward. Resounding success and cinematic history. The Sound of Music wasn't just a successful film, it was a record-breaking phenomenon. It remarkably surpassed Gone with the Wind, which had held the #1 spot for 27 years, to become the highest-grossing film of all time at that period. With a total box office of $286 million, adjusted for ticket prices at the time, the movie cemented its powerful appeal. This was truly a global cultural phenomenon. The Sound of Music sold 283 million tickets worldwide, transforming it into a major cultural event that spread powerfully across every continent. Even more astonishing, this widespread reach occurred without the need for social media or today's massive global advertising campaigns. The allure of the story, the music, and its positive message created the sensation on their own. The film was also more than just a commercial success. The Sound of Music swept major film awards, winning 5 Academy Awards, including the most prestigious categories such as Best Picture and Best Director. This demonstrated the superior artistic value of a musical film, breaking down prejudices and elevating the genre in cinematic history. Behind-the-scenes secrets and unexpected truths. Behind the glamour and timeless melodies of The Sound of Music lie countless intriguing, sometimes humorous, sometimes dramatic, and many unexpected behind-the-scenes stories you might never have known. One of the most romantic and memorable scenes in the film is when Maria and the captain confess their feelings in the gazebo. However, few know that this scene almost turned into a disaster due to a strange noise. That sound was a raspberry, the hissing sound from the carbon arc lamps, classic lighting equipment used for film sets. This peculiar noise continuously disrupted takes, making both Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer burst into laughter uncontrollably. There were as many as 20 ruined takes because of this unforeseen incident. Eventually, director Robert Wise had to change tactics, filming the scene using the actors' silhouettes to hide their uncontrollable laughter and also to conceal the noisy equipment. This secret was kept by the studio for decades until insiders revealed it. Christopher Plummer, who played Captain Von Trapp, had a complex relationship with The Sound of Music. Throughout his life, he consistently expressed disdain for the film, calling it sarcastic nicknames like Soggy or S&M, referring to saccharin and mush. Plummer even admitted to being intoxicated while filming the emotional Edelweiss scene. However, despite his hatred, it's undeniable that he demonstrated incredible professionalism, creating a classic performance that was cold yet full of emotion, captivating global audiences. Interestingly, the Captain Von Trapp's warm singing voice in the film was often actually that of professional singer Bill Lee, not Plummer's own. The actors, especially Julie Andrews and the children, faced many challenges on the set of The Sound of Music. In the scene where the boat capsizes on the lake, young Kim Carath, Gretel, nearly drowned because she couldn't swim and swallowed a large amount of lake water, fortunately being rescued in time. Julie Andrews also went through hell while filming the famous opening scene on the meadow. The filming helicopter created such strong gusts of wind that it repeatedly knocked her down, forcing her to struggle for hours with wind and mud to achieve a few perfect minutes on screen. Not only that, many actors also experienced disasters related to their appearance. Daniel Trujillo, Rolf, had his hair bleached to the point of permanent damage, while Julie Andrews also suffered her hair being dyed a garish orange and had to cut it short to fix it. The filming process in Salzburg, Austria, was constantly interrupted by harsh weather, especially continuous rain, which not only caused difficulties, but also significantly increased production costs. Furthermore, the prolonged filming meant the child actors grew rapidly, making it difficult to maintain height consistency between takes. These behind-the-scenes secrets reveal that while The Sound of Music delivered bright images and music, its creation process was also filled with challenges and the silent sacrifices of the entire crew. Historical truths distorted. Despite The Sound of Music being a beloved cinematic classic, to achieve its mass appeal, the film significantly simplified and distorted many historical events and details about the Von Trapp family and the socio-political climate of the time. One of the most altered aspects is the portrayal of the Nazis and Austria's political context. In the film, the Nazis are depicted as cartoon villains whose clear purpose is to oppose the humanistic values of the Von Trapp family. This portrayal overlooks the real horrors of the Holocaust and the brutal cultural repression caused by the regime. It also fails to convey the political complexity of Austria in the pre-war years, a nation grappling with internal and external pressures before its annexation into Germany. This simplification made the story more accessible to a wider audience, but blurred the grimness of history. The film's most climatic scene, and one of its biggest fictions, is the Von Trapp family's escape over the mountains into Switzerland. In reality, their escape was far less dramatic. In real life, the Von Trapp family legally traveled by train from Salzburg to Italy, as Maria was an Italian citizen. From there, they continued their journey to Switzerland, France, and finally London. Furthermore, the mountain range in the film was shot near Hitler's hideout, not the Swiss border, further indicating a clear geographical alteration to serve cinematic purposes. The romantic relationship between Maria and Captain Georg von Trapp in the film was also heavily romanticized. The movie depicts a love at first sight that blossoms between them. However, the truth is that Maria married Georg not primarily for love initially, but mainly because his children needed a mother and a financial manager. They married in 1927, not immediately before the Nazi invasion, as the film suggests. This shows their relationship developed over many years, rather than being an instantaneous event. Their age gap was also significant. Georg was 25 years older than Maria. The real Von Trapp family actually had 10 children, 7 of Georg's from his first marriage and 3 shared children of Maria and Georg. But the film focused only on the first 7 children to simplify the plot and character roster. The children's names in the film were also changed, e.g. Lessel, Friedrich, Louisa, Kurt, Brigitta, Marta, Gretel instead of Rupert, Agathe, Werner, Hedwig, Johanna, Martina, Rosemary, Eleonore, Johannes. Furthermore, the personalities and ages of each child were altered to better suit the Hollywood script, creating clearer emotional arcs and roles for each young character. One of the most common misconceptions from the film is the song Edelweiss. Many believe this to be a traditional Austrian folk song, but the truth is that this song was composed entirely by Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein Roman II, specifically for the musical. Edelweiss is a superb example of how the creators crafted a song that felt so authentic and profound that it was mistaken for a part of Austrian cultural heritage. These changes, while they may have sacrificed historical accuracy, were crucial factors that helped The Sound of Music become a resoundingly successful cinematic work, touching the hearts of millions of viewers worldwide. Local reactions and Maria von Trapp's fate. The resounding success of The Sound of Music wasn't always met with warm reception from those directly connected to its story and historical context. Notably, the Salzburg Marionette Theatre expressed its disdain. When the film crew proposed collaborating to feature their famous puppets in a scene, the theatre flatly refused. They viewed Hollywood as trivial and did not want their refined artistry to be cheapened or turned into a mass entertainment tool. This rejection reflected, in part, the contempt of traditional European art circles for the American film industry at the time. The reaction of the Salzburg locals in general was also not entirely positive. Many felt angry that the film simplified Austria's complex history and the Anschluss, the annexation of Austria into Nazi Germany. They felt insulted that the story was overly romanticized, overlooking the true suffering and political struggles that the Austrian people endured during that period. For them, the film was a softened version of historical truth, focusing solely on entertainment while disregarding the depth and harshness of the past. As for Maria von Trapp, the woman who inspired the story, she was unfortunately marginalized during the production of the Hollywood version. Having sold the rights to her story to the German film long ago for a small sum, she completely lost control over the Hollywood adaptation. Consequently, Maria not only failed to profit from the immense success of the American version, but was also not invited to the film's premiere, a regrettable and unjust outcome for the person who inspired this masterpiece. Studios, financial pressure, and hidden secrets. The production of The Sound of Music was not just an artistic journey, but also a high-stakes financial battle, and a struggle against unseen pressures behind the camera. Julie Andrews, though cast as Maria and later becoming the film's icon, was an extreme perfectionist. She worried that the movie would become too sweet and unrealistic. Andrews constantly strived to keep the story authentic and profound, regularly consulting with the director to ensure her performance wasn't over the top. Her perfect character and serious approach to work contributed significantly to the film's artistic quality. However, 20th Century Fox was teetering on the brink of financial collapse. The budget for The Sound of Music spiraled out of control due to various factors, particularly the relentless bad weather in Salzburg. Continuous rain severely disrupted filming, causing costs to skyrocket. The situation was even more tense as the studio had just suffered a devastating failure with Cleopatra, 1963, a costly project that did not yield the expected profits. The combination of these two factors pushed 20th Century Fox to the verge of bankruptcy, making The Sound of Music a make-or-break financial gamble for them. Initially, the director's chair was offered to the legendary William Wyler, an Oscar-winning director. However, Wyler didn't feel a deep connection with the musical. Additionally, he was experiencing hearing problems, which made it difficult to direct a musical film that inherently demands auditory sensitivity. For these reasons, Wyler subtly and politely exited the project. His departure paved the way for Robert Wise to take over as director, a change that was later proven to be a wise decision, greatly contributing to the film's resounding success. With all these behind-the-scenes secrets, challenges, and historical truths softened by Hollywood, The Sound of Music still stands as a cultural icon. The film transcended controversies to become a global phenomenon, touching millions of hearts not only through its melodies, but also through its message of love, family, and hope. It is thanks to these relentless efforts that the story of the Von Trapp family and their timeless melodies have become a part of cinematic heritage, continuing to inspire and bring joy to generations. Do you want to explore more magical journeys from concept to stage and screen? Let us know in the comments. If you found this story interesting and want to learn more about the world of film and theater, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on exciting future content.